okay? And they put them in a room, not all together, I'm sure, but they put them in a room, and they put a marshmallow in front of them, right? And then for some reason, the tester would have to leave the room, and the tester said to the kids, if you can wait 15 minutes, you will get 2 marshmallows, right? So that's the study. That was the experiment part of the study, was to see if the kids could wait or could they not wait. Okay, so here's the results of the study. Now, I love this study because it is a long-term study. So they followed these kids for, well, you'll see, for a long time. So of those who attempted, well, there was a minority who ate the marshmallow anyway. They just ate it, right? Some of those attempted to wait 15 minutes but couldn't do it. 1/3 or 200 of them were able to get 2 marshmallows, right? So that's not, I don't think it's that bad, because we're talking about 4 to 6-year-olds. But here's where it gets exciting. Well, I guess for me. So the children were followed for decades. For those who delayed gratification, their parents described them 10 years later as adolescents who were significantly more competent than those who didn't delay. The second follow-up study was in 1990 and showed that the delayed gratification also correlated with higher SAT scores. Right? All from not eating a marshmallow and waiting 15 minutes. So later follow-ups indicated generally better life outcomes as measured by the SAT scores, educational attainment, body mass index, and other life measures. So in 2011, brain imaging study of the original participants showed a more active frontal cortex than those who delayed gratification. Right? So basically, the children who were able to delay had an improved life. People who could wait and be patient. This quite contradicts what we're doing right now in society. So, how does it affect children's ability to learn and mature? Kids take things for granted. So, there's not working for it. There's not the anticipation of getting it. So to just get stuff is not okay. Right? It's not as exciting anymore, just to get. I talk about that all the time with kids with chores. We've talked about, I don't know if we were here when we talked about chores. Kids should not live like honored guests in your house. And the reason for that is that then they just get for the sake of getting. And there's nothing that you actually get from that. Right? There's no thrive, there's no emotional response to finally getting it. And I earned that, and look what I did. That all goes away when you just get immediately. The kids that don't have to work for stuff, that are treated like honored guests in their house, tend to be more thrill seekers as they get older. They tend to have more drama, and they also will experiment more with drugs. Right? Because they need to get it somewhere, and they can find it in drugs and alcohol. Okay, they have an inability to problem solve, right? Because they just ask Surrey. That's why I like her. But they don't have to do it. When you're never asked to work for something, they don't know how to plan, they don't know how to strategize, they don't know how to regroup on stuff. They have no patience and no vision for the future. Delaying things is actually painful. Now, I do get that. When there is a reason, and it was happening like just a few minutes ago, that my computer was not happening fast enough, I get mad. Like truly, like lots of fantasies about throwing it, right, out the window and stuff. So I get that whole, it is painful. I mean, not physically painful, but waiting is painful. They're not able to see past the moment and their own immediate want, which is rarely a need, right? They just want it to want. So, low to no resilience in the face of challenge. So when children can't problem solve, they feel stuck, needy, and powerless over their own lives. Low frustration tolerance. These are the people that have short fuse, right? And they still have temper tantrums. Temper tantrums last forever, They just look different as you get older, right? And we call it a short fuse, right? Or they get mad easy. Have increased disappointment and sadness, right? That's kind of a big deal for me. Instant gratification is a step along the path of depression and anxiety, right? Because when you don't, which is kind of, you don't all the time. They can't manage it, so then they can't manage their own life. Feeling disconnected. The teen years are all about belonging and acceptance. They are already feeling alone when they're depressed, but who wants to hang out with someone who's depressed? So it's kind of a cycle that happens with that. So the lack of connection is when everything starts to go wrong with kids. There's an increase in risky behavior and self-medicating, right? Kids and teens don't have the experience and the maturity of their prefrontal cortex to know how to cope with disappointment and anxiety, just because they're younger. That's why. It's just because their brains haven't developed completely yet. So they make poor, sometimes dangerous choices to cope with sadness and the lack of connection. So there's a lot more lack of connection. I mean, think about how impersonal texting is, right? There's no emotion, unless you put a cute little emoji with it, right? A little winky face, a little cry, laughing, a little sad, right? Sometimes when you do send a text, it's like a question mark as to, was that funny? Was that sarcastic? Are they being mean right now? And you actually wait for the little emoji at the end to know how to respond. Because you don't know unless they put it there, because sometimes it's just not. Sometimes even just yes is like, is that really a yes? Is that like a funny yes or like a, yes, it's fine, whatever, right? But there's a difference. So they are missing that, right? And that's part of the stuff that they need to develop and learn as they grow, right? We got it already. They need to learn how to manage their emotions. But when they are not required to be emotional, right? Because they're texting and they're not responsible for anything pretty much when it comes to texting. They feel like they can say whatever they want, right? They can do stuff unless we're there, right? Guiding and checking and helping and managing and delaying for them so that they can, if they can pause, they might not be as impulsive in their responses, right? If they can stop and think it through. There's a lot of times that I write a text that I don't send, right? I might write lots of emails that I don't have to send. Or I write it and then I delete most of it and then I try it again. Like, this is not going to go over as well as I had hoped if I leave it like that. But they actually need to be taught how to do that. Like, this took years of life for me to learn how to do that. They don't have it just because they're little. Okay. Have they said inappropriate things to you in a text that you would have never thought they would say to your face? No. Okay. It's just me. I know it's not just me.
It's the threat of beating to make it home.
I know. Right, exactly. Let's see. Where was that? So kids tend to be more cold and less empathic, right? Because they're not held accountable and they get to say stuff with very little consequence. Because they're also saying it to kids that probably won't say anything to anybody, right? If you say something ugly, if your child receives something ugly in a text, are they going to come to you? Right? They probably won't. But then they sit with that emotion. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt their feelings, right? They're still swimming in that pool of feeling sad, and we have no idea, right? But how exciting is it when you make a phone call and you don't get an automated machine and you actually get to talk to a person? It's like a holiday, right? Especially when you call the doctor. Imagine if you just got to speak to like a receptionist. You don't need the doctor I don't need the doctor to pick up. But someone who can get me where I need to go without me. And then the messages, and listen to the message because it has changed. Well, they've all already changed. They've all changed. So you have to sit and listen to the whole thing. You know what button you need to press. I know you need to push 3. I know, but now what if they change it? I know if they change it. But how nice would it be if you could call places and just get a person? So have them call people if they can, right? First people they should call is their grandparents, right? It's a great group, or their aunts and uncles and family, because kids actually don't really have good phone skills. Like, they're ridiculous on the phone. And for a long time, I didn't let mine answer the phone. I mean, they were older before. I'm like, why are you answering my phone? Like, this is my work phone. Right? But the phone etiquette is lacking. And when I hear them on the phone, when they actually are on the phone, they don't say bye. I'm like, why didn't you say bye? Oh, well, we knew we were done. I'm like, oh, no. No. Like, we need to say bye. They don't have it. So they need to be exposed. That's why they need to call grandma and other people who love them unconditionally and will allow them to do that. But there's no call in your house and saying, you know, hi, Miss Kelly, can I speak to so-and-so? They don't do that anymore because they just go right to them, or they just text them and get it done. So there's no really phone etiquette. So you have to work on that with them, because they do need to have phone etiquette, right, as they get older. The other thing is that this stuff follows them forever, right? The things that they are doing and posting and putting, once they hit high school, colleges look at all of it, right? They have the technology, they have the know-how at all these schools to go back and check what these kids are posting. And they can decide right there to not take someone, right? If there's inappropriate stuff that they have on the internet that's on their stuff, they can. And every single job is looking at you. I mean, I'm looking at you. I'm going to put you up on Facebook and see what you've been doing, right? Why wouldn't they pull it up, right? So, like, the whole world is doing this check on our kids who are really immature still, right? They don't realize the impact of their behavior and how it could affect their future. So I actually have been drilling that in. I have a freshman now. And I'm like, everything you do now is game. It's fair game for any college to look at on you. So you cannot put ridiculous things in it. It needs to be all smiles and we're having a good time, but that's it, right? No, and nothing like that. I also caution them over and over, especially after you watch that video. No